So one thing I've noticed is that there's a growing genre that's going on right now, and I say growing as if it hasn't already been a thing for a while. I think the niche is starting to boom just a little bit, if you ask me, and I like to call it doomer porn. I think that's the best way to explain it, and it's basically where you get a guy who, it's mostly prevalent in like the Call of Duty commentary videos. I see a lot of those, and this ain't nothing against nobody. Do what you got to do, and you're free to express yourself. However, but what I will say is that when it comes to this genre of content, it creates this echo chamber effect where, much like a an adult website, right? If you ever been on one of those, when you look up a certain type of video, the algorithm for that website will feed you more of those videos, especially if you're a frequenter, if you come back more and more often. So YouTube does the same thing where you get these very doomer coded hopeless videos of somebody basically getting on and using YouTube, using their platform as, I guess, a verbal diary, if that's the best way that I could put it. And what it does is it creates this echo chamber because it finds the right audience, and then people go into the comment sections and they engage with these videos, and those videos or those comments share a lot of the same sentiments, or it's people sharing their stories. And everybody needs a safe space. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it's all bad, but I think the problem is that a lot of people want to be, or not want to be helpless or hopeless, but want to feel helpless or hopeless, or maybe they just want to feel validated in their own self wallowing. I was always told growing up, don't be the only one at your pity party, or something along the lines. I'm sorry, I can't remember the quote verbatim. My mama used to say it to me all the time, and that's what a lot of these videos are. And once again, this is nothing against nobody that makes this type of videos that exist in this space, whether you're being genuine and this is just your outlet, or even if you're just playing into a niche, almost like grifting and doing it for a check. I'm not gonna sit here and necessarily knock you or nothing like that, or have anything to say, because we all out here doing what we got to do. We all out here experiencing life the way we got to experience it. But I will say this: being a person that is constantly screaming into the echo chamber does no good for you. Um, the thing about people, and this is probably one of my favorite lyrics of a song. If you know the song, then you know the song. I mean, a lot of people know the song, but one of the lyrics is, "You can be addicted to a certain kind of sadness," and I feel that personally with me, because I think that's the best way to describe when I would have depressive episodes and moments of, I guess, uh, what's the word? Vulnerability. I'm not re-recording. Vulnerability. If you know what I meant to say. But the point is that when you're at those points and you feel these things, you kind of get addicted to them. Humans, for some reason, have this strong affinity to be addicted to negative emotion, and it's because, like they say, negative. I mean, one of the main things I always hear is negativity sells, and that is very true. Um, Case in point, it's much easier, and it's even perceived as funny to hate on somebody, to spread volatility, to troll and be toxic and all these things. Those are all negative emotions. They don't correlate necessarily to the doomer mindset, or really they could. If you really want to break it down, you could link those two together. But the point is that with this genre of content, the only problem is that it's pushing everybody towards nihilism. And the thing about nihilism is that, much like the belief of nihilism, it leads to nothing. It leads to nowhere. And it leads to you feeling like you're nothing. And I don't care who you are or who you pretend to be or say you are, nobody wants to be nothing. Nobody wants to exist and have a conscience and have a spirit and have a soul and mean nothing and believe in nothing and care for nothing. Everybody wants to care for things. You might be a little bit more guarded based off of, past experiences, trauma, anxiety, fear, all of these things, which all play into the doomer mindset. And I'm not sitting here being coy to the problems that are actually going on in the world, because there's a lot of them. I can understand why people have a doomer mindset. I'm not perfect myself. Like I say, I don't like throwing stones from glass houses. But you don't want to sit there and yell into your echo chamber. And yelling into your echo chamber in this case is making these videos, and either making these videos or being the one that consumes them. If your algorithm is feeding you these videos and you're constantly clicking on them, which is reigniting the algorithm to send you more of these videos, then you're stuck in a loop, and a bad one that's going to lead you nowhere. And you don't want to be nowhere. Because what happens when you give up, now I think the worst, I used to hear this saying all the time and I never quite understood it, but there truly are fates worse than death. And once I stopped fearing death, I understood why. There's no worse feeling that I could think of than being dead and alive at the same time. Being spiritually, mentally, and emotionally dead, but having a physical body. You're a husk at that point. You're a shell where you just show up, hit the status quo, keep yourself functioning to a certain point, maybe to the most minimal point that you can, and then go and do it all over again. And you repeat the loop. You live the same day over and over again. You have no wants for anything. You have no ambition, no goals, no nothing. And that's where a lot of this stuff is leading y'all to. If you're currently in a doomer echo chamber, I need you to understand that life may not be at the greatest quality right now in this present moment, but that does not mean that life is terrible. You could have had a bad year, but a great decade. And I know that sounds a little bit too hopeful for some people, even for me sometimes. Like I said, I'm not a perfect person, but I will always cling to the fact that life has more of a meaning than what is perceived and what is presented to you. When you don't pick a path in life, life picks one for you. And if you choose to stay on that path, it's going to lead you to a place that you don't want to go. And that place sometimes could just be a bad place. That place could sometimes be nowhere. But if you take a second to actually assess your life and choose for yourself, then life can be this beautiful thing. I think one of my favorite quotes of all time, shout outs to BioShock, is that a man chooses and a slave obeys. And you're choosing to be a slave to your doomer mindset. And that's why you're feeling the way that you are. And that's why you're consuming the content that you're consuming. What you got to understand, these people that make these content or this type of content is not that, I'm not going to say that they don't believe it or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? What I will say is that they're simply seeking validation. Some people, some of them might not believe it. There's plenty of people that'll grift and do whatever it is to just make a couple of dollars. But then there are some people that just want to seek validation. And that validation is through y'all. It's through the numbers. It's through the views and the likes and the comments saying that, oh, you're right. The world is this and that and this and that. I see this all the time, I personally don't click on doomer content no more. I used to. And I'm telling you, once you're out of that echo chamber, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Yeah, you're still going to have moments and you're still going to stumble and have your down moments where you need to maybe make some pivots and adjustments in life. But that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and feel this hopelessness and say things like, the economy is this and the state of the world is that. And look, I'm completely understanding on the things that are going on and why people are feeling this type of way. I'm not sitting here saying that the stuff that they're saying is completely invalid. But what I'm saying is that when you sit there and you just reiterate this narrative over and over and over and over again, it does nothing for you because it's based in nothing and it leads you to nothing. You need to get out of that echo chamber, and that's all I got to say on the matter. So thank you if you made it this far. If you're somebody that's stuck in that rut, I really do hope that you realize it and come up out of it. And until the next one, I'm going to get at y'all.